Hey there guys, and welcome to another project update. Those of you familiar with this series of videos will be aware that I'm on a quest to build the Golden Throne from Warhammer 40,000. I intend to do this in the form of a massive 28mm diorama / gaming board. In my last video we managed to get everything primed and ready for some paint. In this mini update I'll be showing you guys what I've been getting on with and what's been achieved since the last video. There might be a little less talking in this update, as there's only so much I can say with my limited knowledge of airbrushing. Alright, let's get stuck in. I decided that the best starting point for the painting phase was to use an airbrush to start adding some tone and depth to the project. Before I go ham with the airbrush, I thought it'd be a good idea to start with a test piece to paint. As I'm fairly new to the world of airbrushing, this gave me the opportunity to try it out without worrying about making a mistake on the diorama. The first logical component that I was drawn to practice on was one of the many Zone Mortalis tiles that cover the board. I started off as I usually do by giving the tile an undercoat of Colourforge's Gauntlet Gold. From here I airbrushed a coat of Reikland Flesh Shade all over the panel. Once this had dried, I went back in with another coat of Flesh Shade and focused on all the prominent lines in the panel. Following this, I finally came back in with some Agrax Earthshade to add a final bit of darkness to the tones. I did also very lightly dry brush the tile in Retributor armour and give it an oil wash, but since I didn't record any of that, you're just going to have to take my word for it. I've seen this as the perfect opportunity to experiment with some transfers. As I know they're going to feature pretty heavily in the diorama, this gives me a chance to practice with the application. Once the transfers were applied and all was said and done, this is what the finished tile looked like. I'm happy with how it turned out, but I'll definitely be a little bit more sparing with the oil wash for the next tiles, so the airbrush tones can shine through a bit more. Okay, let's do some airbrushing. I'll preface that this video is pretty much all airbrushing, and as usual with this project, I completely underestimated how much time it takes to do. First things first, I gotta take all these tiles off the table. This is something that I feel like I've done 1,000 times at this point, but I'm not tired of it yet. With the knowledge freshly acquired from our test tile, I set about working through the copious amount of them that this project has in the same style. This was very time consuming, and made even more so by the regular cleaning of my airbrush, but it certainly beats painting it by hand. Whilst the airbrush was still running hot, I also started tackling the causeway leading up to the first set of stairs on the pyramid. Despite a few unexpected drips, I was really happy with how this section turned out. If there's any well-established airbrush artists out there watching this in disgust, well, I'm sorry. I'm still very new to airbrushing, so if you have any tips or anything that can help me out, I'd be happy to hear them. After adding a few more gribbly pieces for luck, and nearly buying up all of my local Warhammer's Agrax and Flesh Shade supply, I started airbrushing the left-hand side of the pyramid. Some of my keen-eyed viewers might have noticed that on the right-hand side of the pyramid some more unpainted bits and bobs have appeared. This is because I'm still not happy with it yet, and I want to make sure it's sufficiently bulked out as well as hiding any gaps between cables. Once this is done, I'll make a start on airbrushing it. It's a great feeling seeing it all come together, and I was starting to get an idea of what it would look like once the left-hand side was complete. With no rest for the wicked, I made a start on the first level of the Ziggurat floor and the central landing. We had a few little escapades, with Mr. Airbrush deciding to clog a few times, but after some persistent cleaning we managed to get back on track. So far I've managed to get most of the area covered in a coat of flesh shade and focus in on some of the deeper areas. I'll still need to come in again with some agrax for the final darkness of the tones. Moving forward, my plan is to work from the bottom to the top of the build, along with airbrushing parts of the machinery, statues and pillars separately. Hopefully this doesn't take the wind out of too many people's sails, but you're not going to see the finished diorama completely airbrushed in this video. But, as we round out this mini update, let's take a little look at the areas that have been worked on. I'll be back with another more substantial update over the next few weeks, so if you're enjoying the build, please consider liking and subscribing to stay up to date. If you want to support the project, please consider checking out my Patreon and joining an epic group of people that are helping to bring this project into fruition. As usual, I post regular updates on all my social media, so feel free to check those out. I'll leave all the relevant links below. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.